Hi, everybody. I'm meteorologist Joe Chaffee. I just thought I'd give you a look at what is going on with respect to the upper air, and I just want to show you why things are so warm around here and not necessarily with regards to any kind of pattern change. But the European last night was very interesting because look at up here near the poles, and you can see that all the vortexes that are spinning around each other, and you have one that's down just west of Alaska on the Russian side here, and really this is pretty much dominating the flow, so that you wind up with a ridge mostly in the east. But what starts to happen toward the end of the period, and I'm going to just stop it at the 240 hour, is the vortexes are kind of align themselves right along the pole, and there's just like a bit of a split flow that develops here with some troughing in the east. Now, you still have this problem, this jet that comes from the Pacific straight across the United States. So this is where our air is coming from, this direction. You need cross-polar flow. You need the flow, instead of coming like this, you need it to come down like this. Okay, and that doesn't seem to be happening. Something like this would produce colder air, but not truly polar or Arctic air, what I usually call do-it-yourself cold air, where you get a bit of a cyclone that forms here, makes its own cold air, and you get this sort of continental polar air that comes in, and it stays cold for a couple of days. But as long as everything keeps rotating, this will probably wind up rotating out. And if you look at the GFS, we're going to put the GFS up now, and this is from last night, and you'll see what happens. So just watch what happens here in the eastern states. You wind up with that ridge that develops and then just really stays there for the most part. It kind of flattens out over time. Any of these weather systems that come in off the Pacific really don't seem to stay very strong, because they go into this ridge position here and they just weaken. So we still have this problem when you get out to 240 hours. I'm going to match it up with the European. It's completely different than the European. It still has this dominating flow out here in the Pacific. The vortexes are tilted westward, and you don't have any flow that's coming straight out of Canada. It just continues to come straight out of the Pacific. So this would at least say that for the next 10 days, there's not going to be any real pattern change. And if we look beyond the 10 days through day 16, it's pretty much the same thing. So we're going to have to wait for all of this up here near the poles to correct itself before we get any kind of truly winter type weather, or certainly colder than normal type weather. So I would say through mid-month, we're just going to be in the same position here until further notice.